Okay, I'm also going to record it here. Okay, let's get started. Hi, everybody. I'm Linda Brubaker. I'm a career transitions coach, and I work with people at all stages and all ages of their careers, wanting to make sure that they have the right information, the right support they need in order to find that next forever job, that next forever career. Now, I know you don't want to be here. Our goal is to be able to provide you with the support, the tips, the tricks, the networking to help you move from this group into your next forever role. As I mentioned, I'm a career coach, a career transitions coach, and I've been doing this as a dedicated coach now for the last 8 years. And over those last 8 years, 916 of the people that I've worked with have gotten an offer, which I think is fantastic. I come to this role with over 20 years of experience in HR as an HR business partner, a recruiter, a hiring manager. I manage recruiters, and I was also an executive search consultant. So the information that I provide comes from all sides of the desk. Now, I do this because I love this. The Lunch and Learn program is my way of giving back. It's my way of providing you with that networking and support in order to help you move forward. But I support my role doing this kind of work by providing individualized coaching. And I'm working with several of the people here. I'd love to work with more of you if you'd like. This is my only sales pitch. I'm going to add it into the chat, ways that you can work with me individually. And now what we're going to do is we're going to move on to our regularly scheduled program for today. Before we get to that, though, I'd like to spend just 5 or 10 minutes. If we've got some real quick wins, and it's going to be very quick today because we have a guest. Mindy, I'll let you introduce yourself when we get going. Okay.
Sure.
Thank you. Kenneth, would you like to introduce yourself before we do the quick wins?
Just wanted to unmute myself. Thanks a lot, everyone. I'm here to support everyone here, Lyndon, Mindy, and everyone else. My name is Kenneth Lang. I do job search coaching. For the most part, I'm at Lee Hecht Harrison now as a branding specialist, working with a lot of people there. I love to pay it forward, and I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of you at future events I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be at LinkedIn next week. I'm going to be in Central Jersey in June, going out to see Brendan Miller in July, and who knows what's going to happen after that, because there's nothing that beats in-person networking, except maybe this, where I can get to see a lot of you at one time. So thanks a lot, and I'm anxious to hear what you all have to say today.
Wonderful. Okay, so let's do our quick wins. I saw, Bob, you had your hand up. There we go. Oh, excuse me, Charles.
Hi. Yeah, I was very fortunate. I just had a recruiter reach out to me last week on LinkedIn about a channel sales job. I haven't done channel pre-sales, but I am a pre-sales engineer. We spoke. That seemed to go well. That was Thursday. I spoke to the hiring manager or director. I think it was Monday. And then we're actually, I've told everybody we're going out of town, leaving this afternoon for the next 4 or 5 days. Our youngest is graduating college, and they sent me times for the follow-up next stage of the interview, which were today, Thursday, or Friday, and they set that yesterday afternoon. So I just had my 3rd call in less than a week with these folks. This morning, I think it went well. I'm getting my thank you notes out. I'm connecting to people. I think I'm telling them, I think I'm sincere in what I'm saying, and I'm telling them what they're looking for, which is sincerely how I sail through relationship building. But they're also looking for, they keep stressing technical, and I don't have any channel experience, but it seems like it's moving quick. So it's either going to, it'll be a shark. I'm either going to swim forward on the next round or not, but it all happened quick, and it's all been very exciting.
That's fantastic. So quick hint for you. You don't have the channel experience. Talk about that as an advantage rather than a disadvantage. You have all the rest of this sales experience. You know how to make those contacts and make it work. And you're going to learn from them, their skills and strategies, working within their channel partners. So build it that way rather than talking about the fact that you don't have a channel experience.
Yeah, yep. And I asked him what success looks like at 30, 60, 90 days. I wanted to follow up with the person who's leaving the position, who's moving out of the channel. What did they do well? But I ran out of time with that director, and I spent some time talking to the AE about, how he's breaking into building those relationships there. So,
Excellent.
on site a couple of days a week, but I think face to face is the best way to make those relationships happen. There's no
Wonderful.
substitute for actually meeting people.
Congratulations. Good luck. Keep us posted. Patricia.
Hi, good morning. I had an interview with a recruiter for a firm that I actually worked at. So I know a lot about them. I know a lot more about their IT landscape than, folks who never worked there. So that was just 2 days ago. So, it's a matter of whether or not it would be not the exact same group that I had worked with, but a group that still reports to the same person that I worked under. And then I was shortlisted for another job, which would be interesting. The rate, since I'm mostly looking at contractor positions, the rate isn't exactly making me jump up and down for joy, but I would take the position anyway. So waiting to hear back from two different jobs.
That's fantastic. So again, if it's not exactly the rate you want, not exactly the job you want, there's nothing that says you can't take it and keep looking. Think about it as your transition job.
Yeah,
Good luck and keep us
absolutely, yes.
posted. Let us know how we can
Thank
help.
you. Thank you.
Of course. Hey, Stacy.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, great. I had last week, I believe I told you I had interviews scheduled for Friday. Again, not exactly the position I wanted. I was really hoping to find a full-time, but it's a contract role. So anyway, I had back-to-back interviews early Friday morning. They went well. They got back to me and said that, I reached out because I hadn't heard anything. And the recruiter said that they want to talk to me again.
Good.
They hadn't made up their mind. And basically I asked, like, what did they say? What happened? He said they feel like I'm being modest, which no shocker there. And they just want to do a slightly deeper dive into the tech side of things.
Okay. So again, quick tip for you.
Yeah.
You're the expert on you and everything you do. Let it shine. Don't be modest. Make sure that you're putting it all out there.
I thought I did. Afterward, I sat and thought through, and I thought, was I being too much? For me, it was 100% different than I normally am. I thought I was being maybe overly positive. I thought, I'm really pushing it here. Like, I gotta be careful not to be too boastful. And
No, the idea is here to be boastful.
yeah, I know. And I'm like, the whole time, all I could think of is, do what Linda says. Don't just listen to Linda. Do what she says. Like, actually do what she says. Because I'm guilty. I always listen, and I do about 80%. And I'm like, 80% hasn't worked for me. So, but I'm waiting to hear when the interview is. But I want to make sure I make a huge thank you to Pam. So Pam, I met on the chat here. She's here pretty much every week. She reached out to me and said, hey, if you want, I can try to help you prep for your interview. I can help, whatever you need. And I was blown away, absolutely completely blown away that someone would volunteer themselves and their time to help me. And she's an IT person. And I thought, wow, like, this is fantastic. And so I met with her and probably spent a lot more time than she ever thought we would. But boy, she really helped me out a whole lot, because if I had gone in without her help, it would not have been anywhere near as good as it was. So to Pam, I say thank you. If you're here, I'm not sure if she's here. I don't see her in my list, but if she's here, I just want to say thank you. So take all the help you can get, and please
That's great.
listen
Thank
and do it. Do what Linda says.
So we want to get into our topic very quickly. So Marianne, if you've got something real quick.
Real quick, I have a win and a faux pas. I had 2 interviews with it's H-1B season for you folks not in the immigration world, and all these applications need to be filed by June 30th. So this law firm reached out to me and said, "We see you're open to work," and it's a law firm that I really respect. And so I had 2 interviews, and then I thought I would be proactive because they wanted to hire somebody by like Friday, and sent them, I said, just in case you need to check my references, here are my references. And then I thought about that afterwards. Should I have done that or not? I was trying to expedite the process. I probably shouldn't have done it, but it's already done. So it goes.
Okay. So I probably would not have. I would have
Right.
asked instead, are there any additional questions that I can answer for you? Or any additional information that I can provide?
Yep.
Kenneth, Mindy, what are your advice on that?
I would hold back, but since it's done, it's done.
Yeah, I wouldn't
But you
stress
know
it.
already.
Don't
It is
over-
what it is. Moving
don't
on.
overthink it at this point, just for
Right.
good luck and keep us posted.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Cindy, do you want real quick? You have to, if you want to be on screen. Okay, you have to turn on your camera. Can you do that? Cindy, can you hear me? Okay.
Sorry, I couldn't see it. Do you mind if I have my camera off?
Let's go. Okay.
So it's weird. This woman from this company asked me for an interview, and it looks like I have one. It was connected via, it looks like it's a LinkedIn interview or on the LinkedIn platform. And she's asked me a few times for an interview. And we already have one. It's kind of strange.
It may not be a real one.
I mean,
Yeah.
I had applied to the company, so it is a real company. So maybe I'm forwarding to her what I have in my phone as a LinkedIn appointment with her.
Okay.
So it's very strange.
It is strange. And I don't normally see people interviewing on LinkedIn. I've not heard that happen.
I haven't either, but this
And I
is a
don't
real
know-
company.
Yeah. Okay. Cindy, why don't you give me a call or message me offline and let's talk about that.
Okay.
Cindy, just as a security concern, I would tell her about the appointment you have, the date and the time. I would not send her anything.
Agreed.
Be weary of
Oh,
clicking on something she sends you. If she's that disconnected, you just be aware, unfortunately.
yeah, she sent me her calendar thing, unless that wasn't, I don't know. It's very strange. I said, I looks like I have one. Because she works at the company and it's a legit company. So I don't really, all right, I won't send her this. It's kind of weird.
Yep.
Can you call her? You could always just send her a screenshot of
Yep.
the appointment rather than the actual
Oh,
file
send her a screenshot. Okay.
of just that. Not your entire desktop, not all your
Right.
information.
No, I can send her the screenshot from my phone because that's what
Yep.
I thought it was in Zoom, but it still says LinkedIn.
There, you can't interview on LinkedIn.
I think LinkedIn does now offer conferencing services.
Yeah, it does.
Kenneth, I've not heard of that. Have you?
I would be very leery.
Yeah, I would too.
but
To me,
without
that's
knowing
like the
specifics,
WhatsApp
yeah,
platform
I
right
mean,
now.
I was able to start a meeting from LinkedIn. I didn't know it existed, but that's how I met
You
with
can start a
Pam.
meeting. You can set up
Yeah.
a Teams or something from there. but
Right.
Very few,
Yeah.
but it's not.
You
the
can
same.
She is a recruiter at this company. So
All right. So anyway, Cindy, let's take this offline
okay.
so that we can get going. Bob, I really
All
want to
right.
get on the program. So is there something really quick?
Oh no, that was it.
No, Bob.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Sorry.
Yes, I've done a couple of Zoom, LinkedIn webinars in the last 3 weeks. So do offer the service.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right. we're going to get to our topic now because I'm really excited and I want to make sure that we have enough time to do this. I'm going to let Mindy introduce herself and her topic, because what we're talking about today is something we've talked about very vaguely in a variety of our other Lunch and Learns, the idea that sometimes you need or want either a job while you're looking, you want to talk about how to do all those contract roles and string them together as a portfolio career, or maybe you've decided that it's time to go out on your own, as Sandra is thinking about doing. So there's lots of different opportunities. And Mindy Stern, who is one of the people that I've met and really built a friendship with here on LinkedIn, we've never really met in real life, but she's one of those people who has done this, who's talking about it and is really here to share her insights. So I'm going to let her talk about that, and we're going to get started there. Okay. If you have questions, by the way, please put them in the chat with the word question all in caps. I will try and monitor that. You can also raise your hand. Mindy, one quick question before you start. Are you willing to take questions as you go, or do you want to wait until the end?
I won't be able to watch the chat, so I think it'll be better towards the end.
That's what I was
I'll be
asking.
answering questions as I go along, so I think it'll be better if we wait till the end.
All right, introduce yourself and the floor is yours.
Absolutely. I'm going to share my screen and I will definitely introduce myself. I just want to get this out of the way. Okay. Can you all see this bright blue, beautiful screen? Yes. But what I don't see now is the chat. Second, I'll move you guys around. Beautiful. Okay, excellent. Okay, so for those of you who don't know me, I am Mindy Stern. 11 years ago, I lost my job and I loved my job. I was the head of human resources for a large bank. And I never thought that I would have to find another job because I had been there forever and had been through 5 acquisitions and was just running along my own merry way. And I never thought that I'd have to do it. And then, of course, life happens and things change. And so what we're going to talk about today is possibilities. And I just want you to be open to possibilities. Get to the next screen. So I love this saying by Maya Angelou, which is do the best you can until you know better. And then when you know better, do better. I'm a career coach and I founded my company, AIM Resource Group, back in 2014. Since then, I've had the privilege of helping over 2,000 people accelerate their job search and navigate career transitions. I do a lot of leadership development and I've helped over 2,400 professionals grow into stronger, more confident leaders. I also still have an HR practice. And so I've helped about 42 organizations really improve their HR practices. So I tell you this not by way of bragging, but by way of giving you some of my credentials and why I feel like I'm able to talk to you about this possibility, because for a lot of people, it seems out of reach. And I just want you to be thinking about what is possible in your life. Sometimes the chat prevents me from moving forward. Give me a second. So all you need is paper and a pen or something to write with. And no, we are not making paper airplanes, but I will ask you to write some things down. So if you do not have that at your disposal, just go grab that while I tell you what we're going to be learning today. We're going to, number one, learn how to future-proof your career. We're going to help you gain some confidence about your strengths. And I think a lot of people need that. I saw Sandra put an excellent tip in the chat about keeping a list of what you're great at. So you're going to gain some confidence. We're going to brainstorm your big idea, and we'll talk about what that is. We're going to learn through a couple of case studies. You're going to get a little sneak peek about the Be Your Own Boss program. And of course, we all love freebies. And so I am going to share some great free resources with you if we wait till the end. Excellent. Okay. So what if I told you that you could replace I have to with I get to? I get to help people every single day. How amazing is that? I don't have to do anything. I get to do that. And I want you to think about, if you could do that, what would you want to do that you could get to do? So just close your eyes for a moment and imagine possibilities as we're going through these different opportunities. There are unlimited possibilities in your life. And maybe you've thought about a portfolio career. Linda mentioned that earlier, or any of these career paths. You've heard of all these freelancers, consultants, self-employed, entrepreneur, solopreneur. What does all that mean? Is it terrifying? Maybe. Is it a necessity? Maybe. And a lot of us are doing that. And one of the things that I did when I got laid off was think about, what do I want next for myself? So today, I'm going to ask you, where are you right now? Are you seeking employment? Are you creating something and building something? Or are you just exploring? And it might be all three of them. But I'd like you to put in the chat, please. If you're just currently seeking a job, it's an S. If you're seeking a job and also creating some kind of side hustle or a side business, it could be an S and a C. And if you're just exploring, just put the E in there. So S, S, C, S, thank you. S and E, S, C, C, E, great. So a lot of you are in different areas, absolutely. You're all seeking, it seems like you're all seeking, but a lot of you are exploring and thinking about this as a possibility. And I have noticed an uptick in the last, I would say, 6 to 8 months. So many more of my clients are thinking about this other opportunity. And can I build something that could job proof for me? Because I don't want to be, for me, I don't want to be in that position where someone gets to say to me, Friday's your last day. I don't want to do that again. I want to decide when my last day is. So everything we're going to talk about today is certainly applicable if you are creating something, you're creating a new business, you're creating a consulting. It is also applicable in many of these items if you're seeking or if you're exploring. So I think you'll all find something that you'll learn today. I'm getting some latecomers in. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. I'm having a little issue with my slides moving. Here we go. Okay, so as you're thinking about this, think about if one or more of these describe your situation. Are you between jobs? Maybe you need to supplement your income. Maybe you need to expand a hobby into a business. Maybe you're sick of corporate bureaucracy and you want to do something on your own. Maybe you're looking for more flexibility in your life or ready to take volunteering to the next level. All of these are potential opportunities for you. And maybe you just want some personal and professional growth. Which do you think of these is the most highly requested? I did a poll on LinkedIn about a month ago now. Which was the one that came out number one, do you think? You can just put it right into the chat. Flexibility. No corporate. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I was pretty sick of my corporate bureaucracy. Supplement. Yep. Supplement. Yeah. Flexibility. Good. Good. Wow. Lots of options. Yeah. So here are the results of that poll. Number one was I'm between jobs. That was number one. It was about 53% were between jobs. And number two is wanting more flexibility in your life. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm seeing that loud and clear in the chat. Absolutely. Okay, so today we're going to talk about your big idea. And that means what skill or service or product can you offer? What is it that you can offer that actually could earn you some money? I'm working with a client right now who is into lotions and botanical herbal things. She's selling products. Other people have skills and offer services. So I want you to think for a moment about your big idea. But before you put that on your piece of paper, we're going to first start with your greatest strengths. And I think this is going to be really helpful for you to start thinking about your strengths. What are you great at? And don't just think about what you're great at your job. There are so many dimensions to all of us. Here's where you're going to use your piece of paper. You're going to write across the top, my strengths. Okay. So Lots of us feel like we're juggling multiple responsibilities. And it's from those multiple responsibilities that you may find your greatest strengths. And if you'll go on a journey with me very quickly, I will tell you from each of these areas of my life, I pulled different strengths. When I was raising my family, I became the go-to for organizing all the after-school carpools. I knew I was great at organizing, as did other people. They said, oh, Mindy will figure it out. Come September, she's going to tell us who's going where. And it was not easy, but I know that I'm really good at organizing, and other people recognize that. When I became president of the PTA, I was volunteering my time because my kids were young and in school. But I realized I was really, really good at great listening skills. I was able to delegate. I was able to work with multiple people to get jobs done, get our programs done. So I became really good at doing that. My first job, I was 12 years old. I was a very, very shy 12-year-old, and I never would have done anything like this. But I went door to door and I sold magazines because I really wanted that little radio that they were offering. If you hit, I forgot how many magazines I had to sell, but I did it because I really wanted it. So I knew I was a little courageous and brave, that as a 12-year-old, I would go knocking on doors for this because I really wanted it. My education, again, something that I needed to do in order for me to be able to have the skills to run an HR department, so that my education came in there. And the community, I built such a huge community at this point that anything I had that even looked like imposter syndrome years ago is gone, banished. It's all gone. I'm not going to think about it anymore. So I want you to think deeper than just your job. If you're an accountant, yes, you're an accountant, but what else do you bring to the table in your skills? And I'm gonna ask you to start putting in the chat at least one strength in the chat. For me, I know I'm self-motivated. I'm a problem solver. I'm highly organized, a little bit courageous, active listening skills, great time management skills, and very passionate about what I do. So what are your strengths? I see relationship building, creative, executional skill, yes, problem solving, introvert, self-motivated, problem solver, strong writer. I love these. These are beautiful. Relationships, communications, thinking on my feet, love that. Organized, creative, a facilitator, beautiful. Adaptability, good one, Sandra. Attention to detail, excellent, Amy. Building high performance teams, passionate, creativity. Yeah, these are your strengths. You need to embrace these strengths. You need to think about these strengths. And I'm recommending a journal, a notepad, something where you can look at your strengths whenever you have a bad day, because guess what? We're all going to have bad days. And sometimes we need to pat ourselves in the back. And I want you to remember your strengths. This is going to help you not only when you are building out your big idea, but also when you're going in for interviews, and also when you're thinking about the jobs you might be good at. I want you to be thinking about your strengths. Super important to do that. If you have not gone through this exercise for yourself, do that. This is just the beginning, and you're going to need more than a tiny piece of paper. You're going to need a much bigger piece of paper for all of your strengths, for sure. So I'm going to give you, before we come up with the big ideas, I want to give you just a case study so you understand how you can come to your big idea and what that might be. So this is Sarah. She was a client of mine, and she came to me with years of experience. She was a bookkeeper in a small restaurant that was near her home. She had been there for 10 years, loved her job. It was so close to home. It was so easy for her to go and take care of her children after school, et cetera, et cetera. And she was also honing all of her accounting skills. By the end of her tenure there, she had been there 10 years. She was doing not just the bookkeeping, but the accounting, payroll, and everything. Unfortunately, the restaurant owner got sick and they had to close the restaurant. When she came to me, she had nothing. She had no LinkedIn profile. She had no resume. She had nothing, because she had always just worked at this beautiful family restaurant. And it was perfect for her at the time. But now change happens, right? Her life is changing. And so I said to her, Sarah, what is it that you love to do? What is it that you love? Aside from accounting, and I know that's an important part of your life, what is it you love to do? She says, I love to bake. I bake cakes for all of my friends and my relatives. I'm the one that bakes all the cakes at every holiday. She says, what I'd really love to do is I'd love to start a business that is cake baking business. I said, wow, amazing. What strengths do you have that can support that? And we started going through a strengths inventory with her. And the strengths that she had, number one is she's passionate about the work she does. She loves what she does. She has deep relationships with vendors. Don't forget, she spent 10 years in a restaurant. So she has deep relationships with vendors, and she could easily morph those relationships into helping her build her business. Deep knowledge of accounting and budgeting, very self-motivated, organized, and time management skills. I won't go through all her strengths, but this is really what she was looking at in terms of her strengths. And they all easily supported creating a business. And so what we started doing was thinking about how she could do the next 5 years of her life. So number one on her list was she wanted to start studying for her CPA, but she needed to bring in some money. And so she started to create this business. And now we're building out a company page for her so that she can support that business where she's going to be baking and also studying for her CPA at the same time. That's one way that you can take your strengths and build them into something brand new. Build them into something brand new that did not exist before. Here's another quick study. Jake came to me. He had a very different experience. He had been the CFO of a large company for a long time. His company was acquired, and he didn't want another job. He doesn't want to work 24/7 anymore. And he's taken on fractional roles. And a fractional role is kind of like a temporary role. And he's taking on these 6-month assignments. Loves that. We also did a strength list for him. He has deep knowledge of mergers and acquisitions and corporate finance. And so when he goes out there and he promotes himself, he talks about that and how he would be an ideal candidate for short-term roles in a fractional CFO position. So that gives you a sense of how important the strength list is. And I want you to start thinking about your big idea. What is it that is unique about you that you could provide to someone in a service, in a consulting capacity, in a product, in anything that you might be able to earn some money doing? What are some big ideas that you could put in? So think about your big idea, what that might be. If it could be anything, what would you like it to be? And we'll wait to see what people put in here. I'll give you a minute. And you're going to write that down on your strengths page. I want you to put that big idea right there. And the AI enablement and training, so important, Sandra. Everybody in the world needs AI training. That's for sure. We're all learning, right? Mm-hmm. That's a great example. Anyone else? Okay, so Mary's looking for work from home and flexible hours, legal admin support. Okay, part-time fractional roles. Excellent. So those are the kinds of big ideas. It might take you some time to think about. If you have never given it any consideration, just want you to think about that as a possibility. Dominique wants to patent something. I love that. That's a huge idea. We'd have to break that down into lots of little steps, Dominique, right? But that is beautiful. I love that. And for all of you who say to me, Mindy, but I'm over 50 and I can't do it now. Look at this. Over 51% of people who are starting new small businesses in 2024 were over 50. So we're good. Whatever age you are, you're fine. Don't worry about it. All right, a little bit about my journey real quick. I went from director of human resources to career coach. How did that happen? So this is me 11 years ago, loving my life, loving my job. I was super busy. I had a fantastic team. I loved everything I did. I had spent years at Sterling National Bank. If you're from the New York area, you know that bank really well. I had led so many different projects. I designed and built our first wellness program. I was in charge of implementing our first performance management system. All great things. Loved every day. And I had survived 5 acquisitions and I led 3 of them. And then one day we were acquired. And if you know anything about banks, banks get acquired a lot. So one day, the head of the other bank's HR department called me in and said to me, Mindy, Friday is your last day. And by the way, I'd like you to terminate your whole team by Wednesday. This is on Tuesday. So you can imagine, I was devastated. I went from loving life to what? How can I do this? This is not me. How am I going to do this? And aside from the drama and the trauma of going to have to turn off all of my employees, I had 10 people who worked for me at that time, and we all were laid off at the same time. So yes, that is twisting the knife, absolutely. So what did I do? I grieved a little bit, as we'd have to. And then after my pity party, I took the pad that was next to my bed. I always kept a pad of paper because I'm a good thinker at night. And you can see it still says Mindy F. Stern, SVP, Director of Human Resources on it. And I made a list. The things that I loved about my job and the things I didn't love as much. And it was my version of a strengths list. I didn't know about that then. But the things I loved my team. I loved training and developing policy. I loved wellness and career building and recruiting. I didn't love pension so much, although I was good at it. If I never see another pension book, I'll be fine. Benefits and payroll also, not loving it so much. So I started to form in my mind what I could do if I wasn't going to find another job and I wanted to branch out and do something on my own. I started thinking, what if there was a possibility of making a company where I would love everything that I did. And I remember clearly sitting at my kitchen table, doodling on a piece of paper for what my logo could look like and what the name of my company would be. And that was exciting. It helped me get out of my, depths of despair and into thinking something that's new and wonderful. And I still use this logo. It's Aim Higher, Aim Resource Group, because I wanted to do something that could help people do better, be the best that they could be. And yesterday I celebrated 11 years of my company, Aim Resource Group. And so we are celebrating this whole week. And I'm so glad to be with you for this day. Very exciting. The possibilities, like I said, are endless. So we're getting ready for a sneak peek at the BOSS program. Who would like to see a sneak peek? Just a little drop of what the program looks like. Are you ready? If you're ready, put a ready into the chat. You ready? Ready. Okay. So BOSS, beautiful. He's ready to go. Beautiful. BOSS stands for B is build your own foundation. O is optimize your brand and online presence. S is sell and market your services. And S is sustain and scale your business. So step one is building your foundation. What does that mean even? What does it mean? Well, we started doing work on that, right? Define your big idea and the strengths that support it. And you already have a piece of paper, even if it's just a sticky note, you have a beginning of your big idea and the strengths that you have that support it. Good job. You need to develop a unique value proposition. What is different about you that other people will pay you to talk about or pay you to sell or pay you to do something? And I did a search a while ago about how many coaches are on LinkedIn. And the number was outstanding. It was like 53,000 of us. So I needed to remember what is unique about me and how do I differentiate myself from everyone else? And that's really important to do, right? You got to do that. And I differentiated myself by saying that I know and I believe that you are the CEO of your career. And I actually wrote a book. You are the CEO of your book, of your career, because that's where I come from. You are in charge of your own career. No one else knows you as well as you do. I think I heard Linda say something very similar to it earlier. You know yourself, but you need to be able to promote your product or your service in a way that people will understand very quickly. So developing that is something that we definitely need to work on. You got to have an elevator pitch and a bio. All these things are things that you need for the foundation of your business. By the way, all these things will also come into play if you're looking for a job. You need to know what differentiates yourself. You need to have an elevator pitch. You need to have a resume or a bio. You need to have something that talks about what you do and what you do well. Your self-assessment. So I created a self-assessment to help you identify strengths and passions and expertise. And please remember, I don't want you to get overwhelmed. You don't need all the answers before you start. No way did I know 11 years ago what my company was going to be. There was no way I could have known because things happen. But you have to get started. So the self-assessment, this is just a tiny snapshot of the self-assessment, and I am happy to send it to you if you're interested in it, just to help you discern if you have some of the strengths that you need to get started on your self-employment journey. If you want a copy of your own self-assessment, you can email me or you can find me on LinkedIn, DM me, however you want to get in touch with me is perfectly fine. That's step one. Step two, you've got to optimize your brand and online presence. What does that mean? Okay, so that's involved, right? You need a business name. You got to design a logo and a brand identity. You've got to optimize your LinkedIn profile. Guys, if you have not optimized your profile yet and you are looking for a job, you're leaving opportunities on the table for sure. And I'm going to show you a little bit about that just really quick. And of course, if you have your own company, you're going to create a LinkedIn company page. These are the things that we work through as we go through this step number 2. A little bit about LinkedIn. Did you know that there are over 1 billion members worldwide? It is the world's largest networking platform. I like to think of it as a giant party. It's a giant networking party. And if you're not in the party, you're not being visible. So if you're visible, that's great. If you created a headline that grabs attention of the reader, great. Are you telling your unique story in your about section? Yes, great. If not, take a look at it. Make sure that you're telling your story in a compelling manner. Do you have a profile picture that looks like you? I can't tell you how many Zooms I get on, and the person looks nothing like the profile picture. The picture is 10 years old. You look beautiful today. You don't need to use your old profile picture. Use it how you look today, so we're not surprised. Have you created a banner that showcases your value? These are all things that are important, whether you're looking for a job or whether you're creating a business. This is your digital handshake to the world. LinkedIn is your digital handshake to the world. It's instead of all those business cards we used to use years ago. And I'm going to show you, this is a client of mine, and I'm going to ask you, do you prefer bland? Bland is what her profile looked like before we started working together. That gray, ugly gray background and a profile picture that didn't do her justice. Or grand. In the bottom was, she tells you exactly what she was doing. Exactly. So tell me if you want bland or grand. You tell me what you prefer. Bland is on top, grand is on the bottom. You got to be grand. If you're not going to be promoting yourself, and nobody else is. Yes, we want to be grand. Absolutely. We would rather be grand than bland, 100%. Excellent. Number 3, I'm going to go fast because we're getting short on time. Understanding your services and your products, your targeted audience. You need a marketing plan, how to network and engage to get results. And then step 4 is sustaining and scaling your business. Start small, get your first paying clients. At another time, I will tell you some stories about my first paying clients, which are quite funny, but I don't have time for them today. Set up your financial systems, your bank account, your invoicing tools. Continuously learn and adapt based on your feedback. We're going to evolve constantly. And these are just a few of the tools that I use to help people get there faster. A career blueprint, a weekly planner, strengths and stories inventory, testimonial vision. If you had a vision of what someone would say to you about you or your services or your product, what would you love that to say? And then work towards that. That's testimonial vision. All kinds of cool tools that I use to help people get further faster. All right, here's one bonus tip for you. It takes a community. You cannot do this on your own. I'm sorry. It does take a community. When I began my business 11 years ago, I formed a board of directors. I'm working with a client right now. She calls it her inner circle, which I love that terminology also. I may borrow it, but I called it my board of directors. And on my board of directors was the account that I used. And he gave me lots of advice about how to set up my company. I spoke to the head of marketing from my bank. We were very good friends. and we started collaborating, and she gave me lots of good information and put me in touch with people who I could use to help me get my website going, et cetera, et cetera. Legal support, also a dear friend from the bank. Is still a friend of mine. These were all part of my inner circle, people that we leaned on to get this thing off the road. Technology direction, I certainly needed. And a business coach I should have had, I didn't have, I wished I had, but that's what I can provide if you're looking to start doing this. We need those people to help us support as we're going through this huge change. So I promise you freebies, and here they come. Thank you for waiting. Number one freebie, we have a private LinkedIn community for Be Your Own Boss. If you are exploring, or you are considering, or you would like to be part of our community and get more resources, then please join our community. Let me just put some of those links in here again, because some of you may have come in late. And I'm going to put the links in there if you don't want to grab it from the screen. Beautiful. So that's our private LinkedIn community.
Mindy, that's not showing up in the chat?
It's not showing up in the chat?
No.
Make sure you, and when you chat it, make sure it's to everyone and not one specific person. I've done that before.
Oh, let me see. That's very possible because somebody is direct mentioning me. Thank you, whoever said that. Oops. Okay,
By the way, I did
now-
add Mindy's LinkedIn profile
How's
URL, as
that?
well as her, that's better, as well as her email address.
That worked.
Thank you. Okay. This is how you contact me if you want the boss assessment. I will send it to you. And here's my challenge to you. If you take the assessment and you want to share your ratings with me, I will provide you with 30 minutes strategy session with me. Okay, but that means number one, you got to get the assessment first, you got to fill it out, and you got to tell me what your scores are. And then I'm happy to set up time to talk to you and brainstorm with you about your next steps. Oh, look who's coming up in June. If you are part of the Linda Brubaker fan club, then you're going to want to join us in June, because Linda's going to be talking about what's in it for them. Be sure the hiring team sees you as their solution. Very, very cool topic. Love it. We had not talked about this before. And I think it's going to be amazing. So you can register with that link right there. And I also put it into the chat. And thank you, Linda, for doing that. That's June 10th. Mark it on your calendars. And that 11 o'clock is Eastern. So it's probably 10 a.m. for you guys. The SBA, Small Business Administration, has tons of resources, and they're all free. So here's a bunch of them. You're welcome to take a screenshot of this, but go to the SBA, your local SBA score, SBDCs. There's a ton of them that have lots of resources for you. Final tips. Be open to possibilities. Don't shut the door if something doesn't sound exactly like what you're used to. Remember, you don't need to know everything to get started. I knew nothing the day I said, I'm going to do this. I knew nothing. So you don't need to know everything. Create your strength list. We talked about this. Don't forget this. So important to build your confidence. You got to know what your strengths are. Network, network, network. I can't say that often enough, because that's how you're going to build your business and build your connections to get hired. Join our LinkedIn private community for sure. And you can always get more information about the program by emailing me or contacting me on LinkedIn. And I hope I got it done in time, Linda.
Yeah, that was great.
I rushed a little bit, but it was beautiful to see everyone's successes, so we don't want to stop that.
Absolutely.
All right, let me stop the share somehow. Here we go. Oops. There we go.
So we're going to start to do some questions. Yes, we're running a little short on time. Sorry about that. But we can stay longer. If you can stay longer, Mindy, you tell us. But in any event, if not, what I'm going to suggest is that people who don't get their questions answered, make sure you still write them in chat, and we'll make sure that we get you some sort of an answer.
Sure.
Okay, either today or in a post from Mindy or a follow-up from me.
I need to like stop at 1 or I guess 12.
Okay,
That's okay,
that's
because I
fine.
have another call coming up.
Absolutely. So if there are some questions, let's please go ahead and put those in the chat and raise your digital hand. If you remember, put question all in caps so that we can find it. I see one here that says, want to take a while to start bringing in enough money.
Yes, Cindy, yes. So one of the questions on your self-assessment is, do you have financial backing enough to be able to wait for that money to start coming in 100%? And not only that, but you need to understand that when you are self-employed and you don't have a paycheck coming in, self-employment it goes up and down, right? You have very great months and not so great months. That's even when you're well established. So one of the assessments for yourself are, do you have enough financial backing, which is why a lot of people will start building these businesses while they're still employed. So they're getting the paycheck and they're starting to build their future. And that is probably, if you can do that, I didn't have that opportunity, but if you could do that, that would be amazing.
Agreed. Okay. Do we have other questions? I'm not seeing any in the
Thank you,
chat.
Marianne.
Okay.
Marianne liked it.
I agree.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there additional questions that people have? Okay. What about health insurance or insurance issues?
Right. That's part of the assessment. That's the difference between being employed. Someone, when you're employed, someone is paying a percentage of your health insurance, hopefully. When you're not, you're self-employed, you need to take care of that yourself.
Exactly. You also have to take care of your Social Security and Medicare taxes, both sides.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else have a quick question? By the way, I'm going to remind you all that this is actually, the streaming on YouTube worked today. But if you want to take a look, if you missed something, because there was so much value added in here, that if you wanted to go back and take another look, okay, it's up on YouTube now, and I'm going to add some additional resources in a little bit.
Beautiful.
Okay.
And I will just tell you that my goal tomorrow is to post about this group. I think it's amazing. Linda does this every single week. I do it once a month, and I think it's a lot. So kudos to you, Linda, for doing it every single week. Ken used to do it every week also, and I think he's also scaled it back a bit, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Quite a lot.
Yeah. So, you know, we all are here to support you guys. This is what I love to do, and I know my colleagues also love to do this. It's a joy for me, and I enjoy sharing things with you. I enjoy rooting for you, cheering you on, giving you the tools you need to be successful. That's what I love to do. So thank you for allowing me to be with you today. I do appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for doing this. This was wonderful, and I'm excited to be able to join you June 10th for the AIM Accelerators group to talk about what's in it for them. So
Absolutely.
you've got lots of resources out there. As Mindy said, whether you're starting your own business, whether you're doing consulting, whether you're looking for fractional roles or looking for that next forever job, it takes a village. You need to have other people to support you, to bounce ideas off of, to get your questions answered, and to know that you're not alone. So joining these groups, I think, is a great way of being able to do this. You really, truly aren't alone.
100%.
And that's one of the things that's important. Wanted to remind you all that our next week is going to really require your participation. So next week, you all are the speakers. What we're talking about next week is what's working for you and what's not. Your questions. You're going to be asking questions, and you're going to be the resources. Here's something that's worked for me. You might want to give it a try. Somebody's going to ask a question. You're all going to be the volunteers bringing it in. And I'm going to ask some people who've recently gotten their positions if they're willing to share some ideas about what worked for them and what didn't. So put more out about that shortly, but to let you know that that's what the next topic is. And then on the 28th, Sandra is going to talk to us about using AI tools to help uncover hidden job opportunities. So I'm actually looking forward to all of those. By the way, if you have ideas or suggestions for new topics, okay, groups. Make sure that you put, so I put it in small letters rather than caps, but if you've got an idea, put it in all caps, idea, and then list what it is. Or you can say topic or speaker. We want to make sure that these work for you. And so that that's there. In fact, we have, let me see. Okay. Also a Google Sheet, if you want to, you can add your information there. I use those as I start planning, and I'm starting to think about planning for the month of June and July. So please add all those informations in.
Good
Mindy,
seeing you all. Thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
thank you.
Bye.
Okay, we're going to remind you all to copy the chat. I'm going to turn off the recording here. Okay. Copy the chat. You can go to the top of the chat where it has the 3 dots, and you can copy the whole chat there. It says save chat. It's a great way of doing it. The other thing that you can do is you can do it the old-fashioned way, highlight everything there, and then copy and paste it into a document on your own. Okay. We're all here to support one another. Make sure you connect with each other. Make sure you're sharing information. And our private group is a great way of sharing those ideas, that information, and see what works. Anything else that I can answer for you today? If we didn't get to your question, make sure that it's there in the chat, and we'll see whether we can get it done. I will put the chat in the private group this afternoon. The video is actually already up. I'm going to add some additional information to it. And I'm going to add in the private group our the Zoom AI summary of what this call was all about. What are viable options for funding as you develop your own business? I would go to the SBA and talk to them. I would also go to SCORE and ask them for advice. The other thing is try and do it on the side to get started if you can. Okay, bring in a fractional role, a contract role to support it while you're growing and developing your business. How do you join the private group? Click on that link. It sends me a message and I will add you to the group. The only people who are part of that group are people who are actually those who have attended these sessions or those who have registered but said that they couldn't attend. We want to make sure that everything that's in there is really safe, secure, private, and supportive. I'm going to stop the YouTube screen. Okay, in just a moment. There we go. All right. Anything else we can do for you today? Remember, always available. Always, you can message me, you can email me, you can set up that quick little chat, and I'd love to work with any of you who are interested. Thank you, Ken, for always being here when you can and providing that support. It's fantastic. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to stop the recording.